When you get traffic on the base paths the way they have in this homestand, you got to capitalize on it. It's the one thing fans, especially fans of this team, don't want to hear, and that it's early. It is. I mean, that's just baseball. You got 162 games. I get, as a fan base, we're on edge a little bit more, especially when the offense doesn't perform the way you're hoping or the way it's been sold is performing. So when you have a game like last night where you had one hit, I get it, man. I'm just as frustrated as everybody else. So I think today was huge. I think, to salvage a game out of the series, it's a series they should win. You wanted 2 out of 3, you get 1 out of 3. It's disappointing. I was disappointed in, aspects of what they did, defensively on the infield. Obviously at the plate, things didn't happen the way we were hoping to see. But, this is a big win against the Cy Young Award winner. Pitching, by and large, has been really good. I mean, different degrees of good. The first Logan start was phenomenal. His last start, he got touched up early, but then he ends up striking out 10. He grinds it, he gives him a chance. Luis, his second start in this game was better than his first. He's been solid in both, but this was a better start. Brian Wu was fantastic. Really the only downside, Bryce Miller was a little uneven. He was really good in points, and then other points that kind of came apart on him. Emerson Hancock was the one that you looked at and went, all right, you just toss it. I mean, it wasn't good. There's not much to say about it. Pitching though has been what I think you expect. Yeah, you expect him to be a little sharper as the season goes on in terms of some of what we saw from Bryce and maybe Luis in the first start. But yeah, I've got no issues, no concerns with the pitching. We'll see what they do with Kirby's spot. I think you're seeing some of the guys come through that you're counting on, that you want to see bounce back. You want to see them, whether it's obviously a base hit, home runs are great, but some patience up there when it's not happening, when they're not getting their pitch, work a walk. Julio's been very adept at working walks early, which I think is a good sign that he's not chasing out of the zone as much. Seeing Randy Arozarena hitting the ball hard, it hasn't always resulted in a base hit, but you look at his exit velo, he has been squaring the ball up. Victor Robles is kind of picking up where he left off. He's a guy we talked about, like what's a fair expectation. In 77 games last year, he was almost a 400 on base. He was hitting well over 300. We're trying to figure out what's real. Is that what's a fair expectation? And so far, he's been coming through. So those are some of the highlights for me. We'll see, JP's got to get it going. We'll see what Garver had a great spring. He hasn't had a ton of opportunity yet. It hasn't produced at this point. So we'll see how often he's going to be thrown in there and how often he can produce. But that's somebody I'm keeping my eye on. But really good to see Arozarena, see some patience out of Julio. Hopefully he starts, he's got the triple, he's got the home run, see him do some damage out there. And seeing Robles kind of picking up where he left off is a pretty positive sign. Love what we've seen out of Bliss. Love what we've seen there. Wasn't really sure. We hadn't seen him a ton, obviously, last year. So he looks like a guy who can play second base. Can he hit? That'll be the question. His defense, to me, is not in question, at least at this point. Third base, look, we talked about it before the year. That was a concern. Polanco, when he's been out there, it hasn't been brilliant. We saw him, kind of lollipop a throw over to Rowdy Tellez, and luckily Tellez is a big guy. He was able to come down with that ball. We saw him throw a 4-hopper to first base where Dylan Moore couldn't pick it. It was not a good throw. It didn't look natural. I don't know what the answer is going to be at third base for the rest of the season, how often they want to throw him out there. If I'm being honest, he didn't do anything to make me feel great about defense at third base. As far as first, we haven't seen a ton of opportunity to make great plays or make plays that other first basemen would make. I mean, we'll see what goes on there. I still have my concerns. I still have my questions about the overall infield defense. And some of that will rest with whoever they have at third most often. I don't know that that's been settled by any stretch of the imagination yet. I'm looking for them to capitalize on opportunities they create. When you get traffic on the base paths the way they have in this homestand, you got to capitalize on it. You got to find a way to push across runs and support your starter out there. So I'm hoping, coming off a win against a Cy Young Award winner, that provides a little confidence, that provides a little relaxation. They can take a breath. They got a day off. Then they can start that series on the road. So I'm hoping if they create the opportunities, they take advantage of the opportunities. We saw them in this game where there was it wasn't ruled in error, but it was just kind of a screw up by the infielder for the Tigers that allowed them to take advantage of that mistake, take advantage of that screw up. You see, often mistakes are made by the opposition, they don't capitalize. So if the opposition is giving you the opportunity, take it. Take the opportunity and capitalize on the opportunities you're creating on the base paths. That's what I'm looking for in this series.